You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, King. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies.
This is AFTERBUZZ TV's The Celebrity Apprentice After Show.
We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show.
It's AFTERBUZZ TV's The Celebrity Apprentice After Show.
Hello everyone, and welcome. Bing is for doing, and we are here doing another after show for The Celebrity Apprentice. Tonight's episode, Are You My Zulu Dancing Man? My name is Grant Rutter, and with me, my co-host tonight.
Hey, I'm back. I know I'm here and then I'm not, but I'm back today.
You're back.
Scott Moore, good to be here. Good to be back.
And I guess I'm here every week, so I'm back too, everybody. I'm back. This is Nando Velasquez. How you doing?
The three of us haven't all been here for a minute, so it's good to all kind of be
all
back.
in one place at the same time.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get down to business. All right, so I want to chat for a second about the reaction of Gary walking back into the room after we have the firing, and he's survived. And usually, you know, it's all hugs and how excited everyone is. And we had Lisa's reaction, which was we had the closed captioning on, and it was a couple of whoas, whoa, whoa. And Penn said that he was surprised, but no one really embraced him. It wasn't really a celebration. So a little bit of a difference in pace. What do you think?
Well,
surprised?
Yeah, you know, when you think about it, it's no surprise, really. Last week, we were really happy to see Stephen Baldwin go. We love, everyone loves Gary Busey, I believe, and we all love him, but we don't play on his team. We're not on his team. We don't have to deal with him. We can watch and laugh and not have to worry about getting fired. But Penn and Lisa Rinna, they want someone a little more capable. And even though Baldwin, we saw Baldwin as a little sneaky little devil, weasel type of character, he ultimately can play with them.
He did things.
And he did
directed.
things. He also undermined a tiny bit, but not that much. So I could totally understand their dejection from seeing him, even though I still think it was the right choice last week to let go of Stephen Baldwin. Yeah,
I agree with you wholeheartedly, like 1,000% there. And I think that I mean, like you were saying, it's being on the team with Gary is one thing, but for the television audience is a whole other thing.
And for Trump.
And for Trump, yeah, it's like there's this built-in entertainment with Gary, and you know, so I think they want to kind of string along as long as they can. There's entertainment to this. Let's be honest, it's a show, so
exactly.
I want to keep him around for the fun that he has, his Buseyisms.
Backronyms.
Yes,
backronyms, yes.
I like backronyms, actually.
Yeah.
So let's cut to Times Square, where we're presented with the task. We're introduced to Times Square, which we soon learn has nothing to do with this task.
Exactly.
It's just another New York spot.
As a New Yorker, I love all the scenic shots. I don't care.
No, it's great, but what was the point of it? That's why I don't understand. Like, I thought maybe they were going to be there.
The point is,
later,
it's approximately 10 blocks south of Trump Tower. And it's very scenic.
It was an
some
easy
of these
location.
settings are like places for Trump to kind of almost like show off the city, like his city to people.
Yeah.
Like we've all been, but whatever.
He's like, this is my Times Square.
Yeah. So the task is presented, and it's an interactive South African travel expo. So right away, I was thinking like convention center, expo. We still
or in Times Square. At the very beginning, I'm thinking they're going to be down in Times Square showing this off to all the humanity.
Exactly. That they would have a booth on the street or something. No, it was in a small room. But anyway, so really it was a tourism-themed task, and it was to create an increase in awareness for the travel to South Africa. And there was this idea of the Big 5 South African experiences that had to be promoted. Each team was delegated 5 different experiences, and they had to choose between romance and adventure. And on first thought, one might think that adventure is quick and probably more of a creative choice than romance, which could be taken either way. What would you have chosen? What do you think?
You know, I think my instinct would have said adventure too, because when you think of Africa, I think just like they were saying, you think more safari type adventures. And I don't really think about going. If I had any place to travel in the world for romance, I don't think I would pick South Africa. Nothing against it. It's just that there's other cities like
that comes to your
Paris.
line. You think Paris or some tropical getaway at Fiji, or you would think something very exotic. And
so
not that South Africa isn't exotic, but something very.
I would think adventure more. When I think Africa, I think you think safari, you think animals, and there's more to it than that. But you think culturally being adventurous, because it's a very different culture. But yeah, romance doesn't really hit.
No, what did you feel about the task? I felt that the task was kind of underdeveloped and it wasn't very balanced very well. And we'll get into the details more on what the different teams had to play up in their presentation. But I just felt that this task really was a big jump from what we were used to, where it was basically pushing a product. And now they're, like they mentioned, they're basically selling a whole country. What did you think?
In a room.
Yeah,
in a space.
in
a
library
small space.
or something.
Yeah, it was very odd. I thought this whole challenge this week was kind of odd.
Did you like it?
Well, you said it while we were watching it. You said this is a task that and they actually mentioned it too, that you need a bigger team. This probably was a task, even though they ramped it up as far as difficulty. Still, if you had a 7-8 person team, this would have been a lot more doable than this week.
Well, it just seemed odd too, just the use of the space and what they had to do. I think if it was done in maybe a different way, they could have been a little bit. It's just I don't know.
I don't care for the task.
But you couldn't even you couldn't even separate like one of the 5 things per person, because you had less than 5 people on both teams, and really Plan B had really 2 people because Busey was just uncontrollable this episode.
Yeah.
So
this definitely would have been a better one earlier in the task, when you could give every single one thing. That would have been a great boardroom.
Yeah.
Because if there were 2 weak
I didn't
links,
like the zip line. There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they could really get into comparing and who dropped the ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you got a team of 2.5 people, and then the other 4. All right, so let's break it down real quick. We have Power, headed by Brandy. No big surprise there. And they were responsible for pitching forward the amenities like golf, surf, and then a shark cage, and then glamping and ziplining. Yeah,
glamping seems like that would be more of a romance thing, but
yeah, I agree.
I don't know how that's adventurous. If it was camping, maybe, but glamping is more like
Trace said it was camping for pussies, and I guess
Trace said some good lines too.
Yeah.
No, I mean I get glamping, and if you're thinking of it as a romantic thing and you just want to get away and you want to have the upscale kind of experience.
Well, glamping sounds like something that if you wanted to be adventurous, that sounds like something you do at the end of a safari.
But that's what I'm saying. That would be more of a romance thing.
Glamping was featured on The Real Housewives of Orange County, so that's the type of
that's what I'm saying. You're going for people like
exactly.
Really? I'm not familiar with that, but
and it wasn't really a romantic thing. It was just women, and I mean it was kind of a joke, but that was what it was supposed to be.
I didn't know The Real Housewives of Orange County was romantic, so I
know. Okay. But one would think luxury tents, something could happen. I don't know. It'd be better than just adventure. I don't know. It's all how you look at it, really.
Yeah.
So Trace comes up with this slogan after a team that they really kind of wasted a lot of time coming up with any type of idea, and that seems to have always been a common theme in all the tasks with Power. It seems to take a while for them to really kind of amp up, while they are arguably the stronger team in this episode. They have more people and they've got big minds on that team with Mary Lou and John.
Penn said, Penn said they felt Plan B felt overmatched because all 4 of those people on Power are better than almost any. Well, there's only really 2 other people other than Penn on Plan B at this point. But really, if Penn could have traded Busey and Lisa Rinna for any of those 2 other members, he would have probably had a lot more help. A lot more help.
Yeah, he had his work cut out for him.
Yeah,
just the 2 other people he had to work with on his team.
But
to step up.
Yeah, exactly.
I have an opinion on Lisa. We'll have to wait for that. All right. So Trace comes up with this slogan: "You plus Africa equals adventure." I thought it was going to be a little different, but they used the actual South Africa. I'm sorry. South Africa.
Yeah, fine.
But I don't know. What do you feel about it? It came up in the boardroom. It seemed a little controversial, but I mean, these slogans really aren't even used.
No,
they're not even
not the
integrated.
integral part of it. And I thought because to me, a slogan needs to be simple, coherent. It's got to bring it to the point. I think that's what it did.
Yeah.
It was what it was. It was like, you go to South Africa equals adventure. I mean, it was just a very simple.
Trace brought it up. I don't know why. I don't even know why he brought it up.
I don't either.
Trump
It was
said,
fine.
Trump said that's not the reason why you guys lost.
No, and it wouldn't be
And it was
either way.
fine.
It wouldn't be why they would win. It wouldn't be
Yeah.
why they would lose.
It was simple. It was talking about what their whole thing was. It was
Yeah.
fine. Thought it was good.
So Mary Lou, she came up with this this brochure for using the 5 angles of the flag or what have you for South Africa, and it proved to be very successful. I think that was the strongest edge they had really with anything over there. And is it true that they'll be using this for the tourism board?
According to them, but we didn't
According
see
to
any
them, but I don't know.
commercials. You know, usually sometimes for these tasks, you end
They'll
up seeing
put
a
it in.
commercial from the sponsor, and they didn't really have anything, so it's hard to tell. But
But it was
good
good.
job.
I mean, it was great. It was good.
yeah, good job on
Yeah.
that.
Definitely.
Yeah, and so Trace was put. Go ahead.
And I was going to say what was big about that, too, is just that it was Brandy's idea to do the pamphlet. Mary Lou had the idea of how to arrange it with the
design.
logo, the design. But, I mean, I thought it was brilliant that they had a takeaway. I think that's something that gets forgotten a lot in these tasks. But I think, you know, having something to hand off to people so they have a memento so they remember their experience is always a good thing. And that was a major plus that
That's a
Brandy
very
had.
big plus, because you're right. Like, being able to have that takeaway, have something that you can go back and refer to, it was smart.
Well, sometimes you don't always want to remember certain memories. And certain things in that pamphlet highlighted certain events in the task. I don't know if that was a good idea.
Or
I
when
mean,
you
on
spell someone's
paper.
name wrong, like they
Right.
did the other week. So
Yeah.
Yeah, people, they're learning a lot, these
Yeah.
celebrities, for sure. So Trace, Trace brought in this idea of how he's going to be doing the golfing, so he wanted to bring in some big names in golf. I think that would have really, brought the two up neck and neck, but it didn't work out, and they seemed to just kind of drop it. They didn't really think of any alternative,
And a good South African golfer.
yeah, well,
Yeah, I don't know, but
I know
you go.
Trump likes golf, but why couldn't they have gotten a good South African masseuse or someone else to highlight one of the other 5?
Well,
big
masseuse
5?
wasn't adventure. Was masseuse? They had a masseuse there, but it wasn't. Masseuse wasn't really
the
adventure.
glamping. That was,
Yeah.
but that could have been part of the glamping, or I mean, zip lining, surfing. I mean, they could have, tried.
Well, I think they almost had it with the golf course. What they didn't talk about, what we saw in the presentation, was they had video of golf courses, and Trace was very detailed in his experience with one of the golf courses that was there. I think for zip lining and for I mean, as interactive as you could make it, for zip lining and even the shark cage, they should have had more videos. I really thought if they had a first-person perspective, which anyone could probably pull up on YouTube. I bet you if I went on YouTube right now and said first-person zip line in some kind of way, you'd probably have somebody who had a GoPro camera doing a zip line trip. Or same thing with sharks.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's shark video that they could have used. They could have put that in a cage, or had you in a cage showing a video.
Yeah.
There were other things they could have done.
Absolutely.
Instead of having a comedian in a shark suit. I mean,
It was kind of it was kind of silly, and the whole pushing the chair around the room.
Before we get into details on the presentation, tell us about iTunes real quick.
well, sure. iTunes is a app that you have on most computers, and
Really, I know. Like, tell us more. What
Yeah,
is this
sorry.
iTunes
No,
thing?
well,
It sounds so mysterious.
most likely, if you guys are listening to us, you're listening to us thanks to iTunes. So, first of all, thank you very much for listening to us. Second of all, if you're listening to us, please subscribe and rate us. We'd love to see some ratings and to also get some comments. We love
Lots
to read
of comments.
Yeah, we love to read your comments and find out more about what you like, what you don't like, who your favorite people are. I know that Omarosa's gone. You know, you don't have as much to bitch about, but yeah,
I do. Get ready.
But yes, please rate, comment, and if you like us, also tell a friend. Thanks, and also
Tell a couple friends.
yeah, tell a couple friends
While you're at it.
and tune into some of our other AfterBuzz shows, which some of us are on as well. So yeah,
Fantastic. All right.
Great.
Now, before we get into the presentations, let's start with Plan B real quick so we can kind of get caught up with that. Their big five experiences were wine, art, food, dance, and spa. They had a little bit more of the cultural side of things, if you will.
Yeah.
Lisa Rinna very excited. And so the idea Penn initiated the idea of having luxury be experienced in different ways, and then Gary went off on the same type of thing, but it wasn't the same type of idea. No, not really. Was this the point where he mentioned about being a virgin? I think this came up in an earlier episode where someone was a virgin to a product.
Yes, it did.
Yes. Now they're just someone's a virgin to the
virgin to South Africa.
I think any chance Gary can get to call a pretty girl a virgin.
Yeah, so anytime we can get virgin in there.
Yeah, I think so.
So they wanted to serve
a
this.
Good day for him.
They wanted to serve this South African liquor, Amarula cream. I'm sure I'm saying it incorrect, but
no, I think that was
it.
So that seemed to be a really big point. And that was really Gary's one task. And Penn brought up a good point, because in every boardroom, we've got Gary saying, I'll do every task. Let me know, and I will do it. And so he just, it was almost to the point where he knew that he could call up a liquor store, but he just so didn't want to be bothered that he just played like he didn't know. And I'm guilty of this sometimes, too. I'm like, I really don't know. I just really don't know. And I just want someone else to take the reins every once in a while. And so, yeah, he really was totally against it. And Penn made, it seemed like, one phone call. These gentlemen were all connected through a restaurant and through Paul Simon's Grammy Award-winning CD. And so they put everything together in like a phone call.
Yeah.
So
Penn really took charge there.
So what do you think of dealing with Gary? I mean, I know in general, but in this episode in particular, do you feel like Penn really tried to give him a chance, or was it just really just nonsense and they just let him go? No,
I think he did, but then he, rightfully so, got frustrated when Gary's on the phone and he's hardly getting anything done here, and then the guy hangs up on Gary. And I think I would be at the same place, especially if I'm the one that's a project manager that has to delegate everything. You're thinking time is of the essence. We can't mess around here. Absolutely, I'd be getting on the phone, doing what I can do, working my connections.
Yeah, there's only 3 people on his team, and you know,
because we're cut out for him.
Yeah, so I mean, there's only 3 people on his team, and Lisa is a little bit more of a follower, in my opinion. So yeah, you know, it's hard to curb Gary. Sometimes when they had a larger group, it was a little bit easier for someone to keep an eye on Gary.
Yeah,
but
and more people to kind of pick up that pace and take up some of the slack that you really couldn't in this place. And
but for this task, they just needed all hands on deck, and Gary's hands were all over the place.
Here's my
but on the deck.
Here's my take on Lisa. I've come to like her a little more. I never really disliked her, but I just didn't really see the position.
She never really did anything in earlier episodes. She was just kind of there.
Well, even in her season, she was on for a quick minute. She got in a fight with Dionne Warwick, and that was out. Yeah. So I don't know why she was considered an all-star, but good for her for getting on. But I just don't see what she's doing. And at this point, she was really excited. She gets really excited about her husband dance, because she was on Dancing with the Stars. Yeah. And so she was excited about the dance portion of this and the spa portion.
And she liked and the wine.
Yeah, and
Which I'd be excited about the wine, to be perfectly honest.
But I feel like this woman lines herself up next to Gary all the time. In previous tasks, they would go out shopping together. They went to Quicksilver, and then there was another task where they went out to the prop house. And it's to the point now where there's really no one else like a Steven who's really going to step forward and kind of be out there, and where you
and kind of rein in that craziness, that cray-cray, as she said at one point.
And distract the point that Lisa is really just kind of latching onto Gary, so she'll always be the better player.
Yeah. And then she doesn't have to do much either in that.
I don't know if it's strategy or this is just her coming at, or if it's a little bit of both. But I feel like she really is just lucky to be where she is, and she's positioned herself next to Gary, and she better hope he doesn't go anywhere. She got on the right team. She was at the right place at the right time, because she would not be here still.
Yeah, that's you're right there, because she's been able to kind of glide by for so many weeks without really having to do much, and it's going to catch up to her soon.
Yeah, she's laughed at Gary a little too much. You know, it's going to come back. I think it's going to come back to her.
Well, she's obviously she's the second weakest. Like, I mean, she even had this whole thing about how she'd hate to go up against Penn one-on-one.
Yeah.
So it's obvious that she knows.
Yeah, because she said Penn is too strong.
Yeah, exactly. So she knows. She already knows that she's at least second best on that team, and depending
second best out of 3.
Out of 3. And,
yep, that sounds about right.
And I think anyone in power can beat her too. So So she's definitely the weak link there.
Although we'll have to talk about. Well, I want to talk about Little John later from Power, but
yeah.
Well, let's comment for a second on Gary. He was eating this chicken and throwing bones across the room. And this is really, I think, the maybe just from my side, but I think this is the most far gone I've seen him all season.
Yeah, he was
throwing food and
throwing
Penn.
food, not doing anything. I mean, but he had some more great quotes, and I'm happy to see he actually is having that book come out.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it for weeks.
But
Let's have a
glad to
quote.
see he's
Let's
finally
have a
having
quote.
him. He's doing it.
I wrote it down. Romance, relying on magnificent and necessary compatible energy. I love it. I want to buy this book. Gary Busey, please tell us where we
Yes.
can buy this book. And I agree. Penn was right. You should change it to backronym. I like backronym
Yeah,
better.
backronym.
Buseyism has its whole full name, but it really
does.
is a backronym.
Backronym, yeah.
It really is a backronym.
But it's great. Now maybe he should have like an album come out because he sang a little bit in this episode. So maybe that'll be the next thing that I'll
Oh
have come out.
God, yeah, that's right. He sang too.
Well, even if he did like an audio book of that, the way he says those things, and he's just so quick, and I think it'd be great, a fantastic opportunity
Crazy.
because he could do a whole book tour with that. Not even on television,
No,
he could go to the
absolutely.
Grove or different places in major cities and do book signings. That would be a perfect next step for him to just keep it moving.
Well, and he had a couple other ones too. Did you do the one about you won't be able to stop touching each other
Oh gosh.
under the lovely romantic skies and
Thank
exotic
you.
land of South Africa?
How can I forget that one? I love that.
Was he saying that to George or in a confessional?
Confessional, but I really hope
Confessional.
South Africa uses that.
That should be their tourism quote right there.
I'm
They
sure
got
he'd
it.
love to do it.
You won't be able to stop touching each other under the lovely romantic skies in the exotic
Exact land of South Africa. There we go.
And
Sold. I'll be on the next plane tomorrow for that. You know, South Africa.
I will say he was flirting heavy with that one girl. The one he called
In
the
the
virgin
presentation,
in the
yeah.
presentation. Yeah, he was getting pretty good with her. I thought.
I'm trying to call her a virgin, even though she had been to a virgin of South Africa, which she had already been to a couple
Did a
times.
pretty
apparently.
good job there. Yeah.
and
But
it's,
we have one more quote that was kind of thrown in passing that I thought was really funny too. When he said, "You know, the most deadly thing in the water is a shark fart."
I missed that.
Yeah, it was just like a quick one at the end there before commercial.
No,
break.
don't forget what's cray cray. Isn't that your middle name?
Yeah, it was something about
Yeah, isn't that your middle name, or when your pants are too tight or something?
Or when
Crick,
your
crick. You call it
clothes-
crick crick. Yeah.
clothes are too tight.
He's one of those guys that you just don't know how to react to because you're trying to get back. Just when you think the joke
Yeah.
is over, there's another one, and then you got to kind of like bounce back with the joke.
And you're thinking, how
It's
serious is he, and
awkward.
how
Yeah.
out in his own world is he too? Like you never quite know what that balance is.
I kind of feel bad for those people that come across awkward though, because they just. You're not gonna have that. You're not gonna connect with that person like that. You're gonna be so turned off that I almost feel bad for him. But I don't think he cares. I really don't. I think
he
he's
doesn't
fine with
care.
it. He was raised in Oklahoma and Texas
Absolutely, he
and
doesn't
proud
care.
of it.
He's throwing his chicken bones in this episode. He doesn't care.
I believe this is his best
Unbelievable.
Part of
showing
his
right
love.
now too. I think this is his best showing on Celebrity Apprentice so far too. So he's loving it. He's having a time of his life.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
All over.
I wish
the
I could be
place.
more like Gary. Just not care.
And then how about
I'm
when?
gonna throw chicken wings in the studio next week.
How about right before the presentation, the night before, and Lisa and Penn were just like goofing off. She was running around in some gossamer fabric
Yeah.
just to like let the stress out.
yeah.
Penn in his confessionals seems to be very at the point of like just being done. And I'm wondering when those were taped. Because it could be those, they could cut that from another future episode or whatever. But, in predictions, of course, I think, Gary's days are numbered. Yeah. All right, so let's just right into the presentation. Jump back to Team Power. They're in that library room, and they're over with Adventure, where they've got all these different setups. And Brandy is so proud to greet these travel executives with tea. What is the name of the tea?
The Rooibos tea.
Right.
Yes.
So that she's all about the details. That was about the only detail I saw.
Well, in all fairness, that was one of their pluses in the boardroom. They said that they served.
They did, although I thought that was kind of silly though, because we were talking off camera earlier. It just seems like kind of just a silly.
I was joking.
Oh, it was lame.
No,
The whole thing was
but
lame.
I was serious.
It's like
I just thought it was a
an Italian
simple.
friend over. You greet them with pasta. Yeah, hey, I got you some. Oh my God,
Let's just say it's sort of like
got my culture down.
the base thing there,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
all right.
So the whole thing was lame, in my opinion. From the shark walking, and there's some type of like looks like some set piece from like a half fence from like a little play. It was the whole thing was totally lame. What did you make of it?
It just kind of was silly. In a way, I almost thought it was almost kind of a slap in the face in a way to the essence of South Africa and the adventure, because it just seemed so
Cartoony?
Yeah, cartoony and not taking it
cartoony.
seriously. It didn't feel like this is somewhere I'd want to go and I'm being pushed around in a chair, or it didn't take it to me seriously and make me feel like they were taking it.
Well, you
the way
mean
they
no,
should've.
that was Power though.
Yeah, we're talking about power.
We're talking about power again?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, we
I was busy checking on when I wanted to see what place Gary Busey
I was
got in
thinking,
his
wait,
season.
did I have?
No, my bad.
no.
Is this filled with
That's what
vodka? And I forgot. No, I
If you're
was thinking,
watching on
maybe I
YouTube-
could have. I'm getting a little confused.
I'm looking up something on Wikipedia. Sorry, guys.
All right. All right. So yeah. So what do you make? What do you make of that presentation? We said it was cartoony. What do you make of?
Yeah, power. I mean, completely cartoony. I mean, they were just insane. I did think everyone had a big smile on their face, I'd say. I guess they didn't say which attraction was juvenile. I would have to guess it was the Shark Tank, because having that comedian be like, I'm a shark.
Yes.
I'm
Well, that
going
and
to
the
get
chair.
you.
I'd say the whole thing is
ziplining.
juvenile. I
The
think the whole
zipline thing was
ridiculous.
juvenile, but I'll tell you one thing. I kind of liked it because at least it was the closest thing in that room you could get to the actual experience of flying on a zip line. So I'll give them
being
that.
very
I would almost
Especially-
just be like, don't even do it then if you can't, because just putting in a chair, it just to me just doesn't seem.
Putting George in the chair. Come on.
But here's what I liked about it. If you, let's say you had the first station was golf, and then you had the zip line station, which you had more information about zip line in another location, and you decided to transport them, as stupid as that might seem in the chair, to transport them as if they were going on a zip line and then go to a place like where Trace was talking about golf courses. He was incredibly intelligent. And then if you took them to another station where you gave more information about zip lining, I think it's a fun icebreaker, like
Yeah.
a fun little goofy, stupid little thing, as long as you treat it with the exact same respect that Trace respected golf. You know, because even though you had the putter was kind of goofy too, but Trace was able to talk about the golf course very fluently. He knew his stuff. But Zipline was just Mary Lou with glasses and stuff, putting something on and going, wee.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It just
and then the
it's
shark,
silly.
and then the shark
having a
cage
point.
was a comedian and a shark. If they actually had as much detail with everything else that Trace put into golf, I think they would have had it with the brochure. I think they could have won. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. If they took it more seriously and everything, that,
Okay.
and gave it the respect that I think it kind of deserved, then yeah.
Fair
Oh no, I agree with you. I'm just giving more props to the chair than you guys are. That's what
I'm
I meant to do.
I'm calling it lame. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah,
out of
I
it. But I mean, I have to give them some respect because they're only confined to that room, a
Yes.
small room, and they have to somehow make it into an adventure. So I mean, I don't have any better ideas, so I should shut up.
I don't know. I would have tried to do something with a rope and some kind of, I don't know.
I like the use of video
better than
screens.
the-
Maybe
That's what I'm saying. Some
too
kind of
tech.
use. But I would have too.
That's
Probably
what I
something with a
would've done,
game.
yeah.
Something, but not a chair. To me, it just seemed like such
Even
a
if
base.
even if it was just like a hammock, like one of those.
That's what I'm saying. Like one of the things you could put over like a rope and you could have some fun.
stationary, just so someone has their feet up in the air. Yeah.
yeah, engage them that
Something.
way, and yeah, exactly.
Something that was more to what it was supposed to be, and some, like you said, some more videos, something to make it a little bit more exciting.
I thought it would be very media heavy because that room is in New York City. So I thought that in order to like make people see South Africa for what
Yeah.
it is, they would have to have like larger than life images, video, a room. It's like something that you just focus on the video.
It would be interesting to know, like,
Waves.
what kind of budget do they have to work with on these type
Well,
of
it
things?
sounded like their budget wasn't that high because
that's why
she
I
freaked out
wondered
that
too,
she
yeah.
$100.
This is a cheap
Because I'm
one.
thinking it seemed what they had to work with that it had to be cheap. Because I'm thinking, well, what could you do with the money and be able to make more of a immersive
Oh, yeah,
experience?
no.
But I don't know. I don't know how much they had to work with this time.
Well, Brandy's overall experience of seeing these executives and travel experts engage was that she was excited because they were very engaged. That was what she said. They engaged themselves. So she thought it was
They were smiling.
they were smiling. But Brandy's lucky because she's the first. That was the first one they went to. They didn't have anything to compare it to.
Yeah, right.
I love that
It's true.
Bret Michaels would not put a helmet on for his rock star hair. I did love that.
They don't want to mess up the hair.
Yeah, they didn't want to mess up the rock star hair.
All right. Meanwhile, on the other side, Plan B. Plan B, it's time for their presentation. And they've got these dancers. They've got this 5-star restaurant. Food is displayed, and Lisa's jumping all over the place.
They've got their wine from South Africa. They had that. What was it called? The Amarula?
You had
Amarula
cream, yeah.
liqueur. That's from South Africa. So I
yeah.
mean, they did bring that kind of exotic
Well,
South
even-
Africa stuff to the room.
Even their room looked better, though. The way they had
The way it was presented.
the table and everything was set up. And I mean, it helped that they were in a library or, you know, a room with multiple books anyway, because you could really focus on the food on the table and the way the wine was set up. So, I mean, I don't know why they had these different rooms the way they were, but they definitely visually did a better job.
Yeah.
The dancers were good. It seemed like the executives really, you know, enjoyed themselves, in my opinion, equally, though, the way they engaged and reacted.
I agree. I thought that it was.
I do too.
It looked like they liked both of them, even though we all thought Powers was a little more dorkier. It seemed like they were having a good time with both. So,
But which I guess was kind of a good thing, because then you didn't really know if you weren't, you know, you may not have known by their reaction.
And with
that
Plan
was
B, they
better.
got liquored up. So even that's even a +1 right there for them.
The other one, they just get tea at that one.
Yeah, it was tea.
Yeah.
Come on.
Would have been a lot more fun to ride in that chair if they had some,
If
some
they had
wine.
some alcohol in
There you
the
go.
chair, yeah.
There
More
you
exciting.
Yeah. So, they didn't have a handout, did they? They didn't have any
They
type
did
of
not,
engagement.
no.
I wanted to double check. They
Did
didn't have
not.
anything like that.
But you know what? I can't fault them. They were they had only 3 people.
Yes,
and
they were
Penn
down a
came up with
person,
most of the thought.
and he had to do most of it too. He
Yeah.
was the one that had to make all the calls, work his connections, basically put together, while Lisa was all just cheering in the
Well,
background.
Brandy was more scatterbrained, but she came up with the idea. But if Brandy had to do the amount of legwork that Penn had to do, I don't know if she would have come up with some of those details.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I think
agree.
Penn got lucky with the right phone calls. I think he really just called up the right
Sure,
people.
I
And
mean,
Brandy
he-
was stressing out. I give
Sure.
her credit.
But he also he worked it too. Like he
Yeah.
worked what he needed to do. He knew it depended on him, and he tried to be resourceful for what he had to work with.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, if they really thought about it, and especially that they have a lot of connections they could tap into. So regardless, I think what he had to work with, he did it,
Yeah, they did.
and he helped because it was basically him. He had to depend on himself.
Right.
to
It was
make this
very
work.
smart to utilize that pocket of New York, that cultural pocket. I mean, they might as well.
Absolutely, yeah. It was a brilliant job actually, when considering what they had to work with.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump to the boardroom. Let's go to that. So immediately, I predicted that when Trump walked out, he was going to say, Brandy, so how'd you do? Because in the past, he always does that to people who are about to leave. I don't know if it is.
Really?
It's always set up that way, but I've noticed that as a pattern this season, especially. So I had a feeling, and I thought that she was gone, and that was the very first thing he did. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. I'm sure I'll be completely discredited next week.
Yeah.
And I'll be totally wrong, but I thought I was on the right path.
Interesting.
So Penn and Lisa, on that, well, we'll jump to the other side real quick with Power, since there was a lot more there. None of the side on Power, meaning Brandy and Little John especially, none of those people really seemed pretty confident when Trump asked them, you know, how'd you do? Did you win? They were all like, well, it would be great if we did, and we did a lot of work, but it seemed to be very wishy-washy. And usually in the past, Trump takes them to task and is like, so you didn't do good then. It wasn't. This is not a winning team, and he really seems to be kind of letting it go a little bit. He has done this in the past as well, when people are a little less confident with their answers. He doesn't really go at them like he used to. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think Trump this season's been very unpredictable.
Yes, yeah.
In a way. I mean, not as unpredictable as usual, but just his demeanor is a little more unpredictable.
Although I think he was pretty, like, calling Little John to task though today.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I
That's
mean,
absolutely
other
true.
people, he was really kind of going after him. So I thought
can
that
agree
was
with
more
that.
as usual.
All right, we'll stop everything because now we need to go over George's his accomplishments at Trump. We need to. The whole boardroom stops.
I know. It's like, what was that? Another little shameless plug here, right in the
Yeah.
middle of everything going on.
It's
I'm like,
such
oh
an
my God.
agenda-driven. Yeah.
Infomercial right now.
So apparently
We went into.
George has been with all the garbage, and
Yes.
he's very, very good with.
Best New York real estate lawyer ever in
Yeah.
history,
Ever.
ever.
I love it. He's got to give George some love.
Yeah, yeah.
He's
All
not
right.
there that often anymore, so.
Yeah.
No, now back to the task. That's basically how it was.
Yes, it was. After the 2-minute infomercial, we went back.
So Trump really kind of analyzes Little John's take on what would be easier, and he lets Little John know that he knew that Little John thought that would be the easier one.
Yeah.
And he really kind of went. I was wondering who Trump was going to go after on that side of the team, especially before they chose the winner, because it's obviously always going to come down to like the project manager, but they need to just kind of like pit someone against that person.
Absolutely.
So it was Little John for 5 minutes before it was later on selected that it wasn't. But I mean, I thought that was a fair choice. I mean, who else are you going to go after?
No, I absolutely thought it was a fair choice too, because he was the one that was so gung-ho about doing adventure, and then it was a lot of his ideas
And
actually
he was
for that.
the only one that's ever been there.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Yes, it was a very good point. But and they're mostly his ideas. Like, let's do the shark, and let's, a lot of those things were his ideas too. So,
And I even feel like he had an opportunity. He hasn't been a project manager for a little while now. I mean, you only have 3 or 4 people left. You have 4 people on Team Power, so he could have taken charge, being the expert on South Africa.
yeah,
but he
especially because
chose
he had
not
just
to.
been there too, apparently.
Yeah,
on
Weeks
that.
ago,
Yeah, so
weeks.
it was kind of odd that was his kind of decision thinking with the adventure
Yeah,
ideas.
I would.
So I thought it was totally the right kind of thing.
Because Trump calls people out on that. If he feels people deserve to be project manager for a certain expertise, he calls them out on it. And other than his race, just the fact that everyone even said in the boardroom, he's been to South Africa. He was there most recently. I think that would have been like, why didn't you even, you knew what the task was beforehand, and you seemed to sound like you thought you knew that you were an expert on South Africa. Why didn't you become project manager for it? So,
Well, even that, I mean, I wasn't so much. I think the project manager part was just like he was saying, calling him out for saying,
Oh, yeah,
I
that
want to do
too.
adventure, but now, romance was easier, and
Absolutely.
and yet he's the one that came up with those ideas,
Yeah.
which.
And he
I
came
thought
up-
was kind of silly. I thought he was actually weaker in this episode than things
Yeah.
past, because in other episodes, I thought he was actually pretty brilliant with some of his ideas.
And he came up with the chair guys that you guys hate. So
yes.
and the shark. And the shark.
and the shark, exactly.
Yeah, Little John was a little disappointing this week.
Yeah, just a
You have
little
to say
bit.
a little.
Yeah. And then over on the other side with Plan B, Penn and Lisa really cut away with basically not saying anything bad against Gary at all.
no.
And there was very weak answers given, and Trump didn't pursue it.
Well, Penn said something that I think Trump understood what he meant,
Yeah.
more or less by it. He found a very eloquent way of addressing Gary. Lisa really didn't know what to say.
No, but I think
So-
what Penn said was really good, because it was a way of saying it in a very professional way, and I think Trump respected that.
Yeah, I think Trump
in
respects
the way that he
his
said
tact.
it. Yes,
Yeah.
and it was tactful, knew what he was really saying between the lines there.
Yeah.
But
Everyone's
being gracious about it.
fairly respectful when it comes to Gary. Even when he was going over the whole idea about romance again, they cut to reactions of everyone in that boardroom.
And they let him talk the
Yeah,
whole time
they
about
just
that too.
let
Like,
him
what are they
go.
doing? Are they going to cut him off?
No one rolled their eyes, and no one like smirked like jokingly like
Yeah.
you would in like a middle school class.
Or
if
I would
someone's
totally
like the strange
smirked in the
kid.
middle of that
But
boardroom with that.
They were all very respectful. I have to say, I'm
I know.
surprised.
I was waiting for Trump to cut him off, and he never did.
Yeah.
No, they cut. He was listening intently, very much following
Calling
every
him
single.
a poet and
Yep.
oh my gosh.
I don't know. So so let's go down to with the verdict here. Plan B's negatives were that they did, while they did very well with the dancers and everything, and they were impressed with the food. There was really no travel information given.
Yeah.
And that they failed to deliver on individual experiences.
I can understand that.
I can.
Based on what we saw, it seemed like everything was just you just go from one station to another, but they didn't do a good job separating.
Yeah, and I agree too. Like, it was just very generic. Come to South Africa, but it wasn't saying these are the great things you can do at this
Yeah.
place or that place,
Again,
or have some kind of brochure.
Seeing Pace talk about golf is a perfect comparison. He was able to be very specific, and it didn't seem like anything there was specific. Just like, we have this, we have that. and That's it.
Yeah, like
have the bunny chow or whatever it was, bunny stew.
Bunny chow, bunny something. Yeah.
to Power's strength, it was more of an expo feeling, if that's what it was supposed to be. And then it's more this one over on Plan B was more like a party in a room. Like they even mentioned it was like 15 people
Yeah.
watching dancers.
Absolutely.
So that was that. And so lucky Lisa got away again, and the team won. So they were off watching the boardroom for a few minutes.
Lucky Lisa, lucky Gary, because he
Well, lucky Gary too.
lucky
Yeah,
Gary.
both of them.
Yeah, like Gary lucked out because once again Lisa aligned herself correctly. All right, so now it came down to the final three, and so we've got Mary Lou, Brandy, and last one,
Trace.
Trace. Who am I
yeah.
missing? Yeah, and I mean the fact that Mary Lou is sitting there is ridiculous.
Well, I was
because
gonna say
she
we
won
had to also
thing.
say that Brandy didn't want to
Bring Little John back.
Right.
Decided
Loyalty.
to just, yeah, which I thought was odd when you're in the middle. This is a game, and or this is not something where that's my best friend, so I'm gonna. I don't know. I just thought it was weird. You got to kind of back. You got to play the game. And she wasn't playing the game.
And so, I mean, they loved the brochure. They loved the details that were put in. The stupid T. That I can't believe that was even notable.
I can't either. I was very surprised by that.
And the negatives, that they just say seriously lacked unique experiences.
Agree.
And it was a juvenile exhibit, and they likened it to an amusement park.
Yeah.
All right, so we got into that and
A
ripped,
really bad, like more of a
that-
fair. I don't know if you can quite go amusement park, maybe like a county fair.
We ripped that enough.
Yeah, but
so-
all true.
And so they went back to what would be easier, and then Mary Lou really didn't even have to speak in the boardroom at all, and Trace didn't have much to say. It was really just a conversation between Brandy and Trump. The decision came down to it. Was it the right decision?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because you didn't really have much of a choice. Because I would have thought it would be between her and Little John.
Yeah,
When he was out of the equation, then really.
She should have brought Little John. I mean, once she even said she didn't want to bring him back out of loyalty. Trump values loyalty up to a certain point,
Yeah.
but he was picking on John specifically
and it's part
for
of the
adventure.
game. You're here, you to play this game, and you got to bring it all.
And it's very possible he wouldn't have gone home anyway if you put him and Trace in there. I mean, Trace admitted he didn't speak up. Trace was almost talking himself out of it by talking about the slogan he did, which wasn't the reason why they lost, but he was downplaying his slogan.
But at the same time, between him and Mary Lou, they did do what they needed to do, and they both contributed.
Absolutely.
So there was really no reason for either one of them to be fired. So yeah, I mean, it made sense. It was a easy.
Right.
But it is
decision this
a
week.
very strong team. So anyone on that team is really strong. Yeah.
So Brandy's out, and what do we know the name of her charity that she was playing for? I don't have it noted here.
Oh, Opportunity.
No, Opportunity.
No, that was Opportunity Village was penned. I can't remember what hers was.
No, but it was
I
for
didn't
the
write it down.
neglected and severely abused children.
Yes.
And he gave 20 grand.
Donald Trump
very
ended up coming
good.
back.
Good
Very
call on
Yes, that
Trace.
was nice.
Good call on Trace bringing that up. Yeah.
All right, I agree. All right, now let's get into some news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
All right, so Gary made a brief appearance. Apparently, on Jimmy Kimmel Live. Apparently, there's this nonprofit organization that is looking to launch, certain people out to Mars, and they're taking applications. And so there's a quick little appearance. We'll take a peek.
I'm Gary Busey, that's my name. And I'm going to Mars because I've been there before. And I collect rocks and spicy pictures from outer space. You feel that? Just stop swinging. And this is the planet I was born and raised on, Earth.
I can't.
It's just great. It's just great being here. I don't let anything get me down because I'm positive. And if you're not positive, don't go to Mars because you'll get trapped in your own eating habits.
I can't handle it. Can you? I mean,
That's awesome.
It goes on and on.
Wow.
And for those who are listening to us on iTunes, you don't need the visual. It's
No. All
totally
you did
fine.
was to hear him.
It's totally fine.
That is awesome, though.
I actually would be less surprised if he said he was actually from Mars than
I
being
would have
from
loved
Earth.
to have seen a Mars tourism expo that Gary Busey would be the project manager.
There we go.
Awesome.
Yes.
Make that happen, Gary.
Absolutely.
Make that happen.
Thank you to our engineer Marissa for
Yes.
putting that up and that lovely video. All right, let's jump to another story real quick. The Hollywood Reporter sat down with Stephen Baldwin. Yes, I'm mentioning him. He's making an appearance tonight. They asked him about the little interview that he gave in the limo where he's pretty harsh towards Trump on his way out. He's like, my advice is to be like Trump. Just disregard morals and your character and you'll be successful. And so
Good
Stephen,
impression.
Nice.
Oh, thank you. Didn't try, actually. Thank you. I was just chilling my inner ass. Okay. Sorry. So Baldwin someone said, I was serious at the time with the intention of being heighteningly sarcastic, but for the most part, it's right after you get fired, so I was pretty pissed off. And he's rooting for Trace. And it seems to be a common denominator here. People seem to really want Trace to win this.
Trace is very elegant with his conversation, at least in front of people. His confessionals are a little more
I love his confessional. Yeah, I think he's one of my favorite quotes of everybody besides Gary. He'd be number 2 there.
Yeah.
With his great...
when no one's listening, he can get a little more into it. But yeah, I would say my favorite two really are Little John and Penn, but especially after this episode where Little John's showing up. Yeah, Trace and Penn seem to be the big ones. So. Yeah.
Well, I still say Mary Lou is going to make it pretty far. I think she could be a wild card.
She is, absolutely. I do think she's a wild card.
But I said last week, Brandy and Lisa better watch out because they're on borrowed time because you're going up with people with big ideas, very well connected. They've played the game a lot farther.
Yep.
And, one of them was claimed tonight. Who knows? But let's go to some predictions here, shall we?
Yeah, let's go with some predictions.
Okay. Yeah.
There we go.
There we go.
Oh, there's the scary music that I look forward to every week.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right.
Well, first, let me just do a shout out for Casey and Kelsbells who wrote some comments on YouTube. I just noticed that there. So for that, but anyway, so Gary Busey, we're down to what, the last 6 right now? I guess it is. It's 3 against 3. Yeah, so the last 6.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is Gary's time. I mean, we saw in the clips that they're highlighting Gary. That doesn't always mean someone gets to go, but I would have to say he's going to go. And I looked it up because that's what I was doing earlier. He actually has lasted longer so far this season than he has the last season. He if he was kicked off last week instead of Baldwin, he would have tied. But he's actually been in longer, so he's overdue. He's going to go.
He is, and weren't we seeing him as? Were we supposed to assume, or did they say? I can't remember now in the promos that he was project manager.
He was in the seat for project manager. And let's look at who's not project manager from that team. Lisa.
Yeah.
There we go.
She's trying to fly under the radar again. Yeah, totally.
So I mean, maybe Gary really wants to win money for that charity. He hasn't won a dime yet.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it definitely looks like Gary's, but we don't know.
Yeah.
We really don't.
Yeah, it's Gary or Lisa, but both their days are numbered there.
I wonder if Little John's getting tired. I wonder because he started out real fresh.
He did. He's tired of losing. That's what he's getting tired of doing.
Yeah. But he does. He definitely, especially this week, I just felt like he was not in it to win it.
Yeah, but that team is still the stronger team, in my opinion. So who knows? We'll have to see next week. All right. All right, everyone. Now, where can we find you guys? You can find me on Instagram at Grant Michael R. I'm kind of done with Twitter for the time being. Right,
I don't even know my Instagram. I have it. I don't know what it is, but you can find me on Twitter at sman80. That's SMAN80.
I have to post more photos on Instagram. I have a couple of cool ones, a couple AfterBuzz ones, but I think it's Nando Vel on Instagram. But you can reach me for sure at Nando Vel on Twitter, NANDOVEL, and on a couple other AfterBuzz shows here.
All right, sounds good.
Yep.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz
you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.